The Western European broadleaf forest ecoregion comprises approximately 190,000 square miles, covering most of eastern France, southern Germany, northern Switzerland, northern Austria, a portion of the Czech Republic, and a small portion of western Poland. Broadleaf forests are found typically in eastern North America, western and central Europe, and eastern Asia. They are found primarily in the northern hemisphere. Broadleaf forests are called temperate because the leaves shut off in the winter and thus are temporary. Broadleaf forests usually grow in warmer continental climates. The growing season is approximately 6 months, and the approximate amount of precipitation per year requires 20 to 60 inches. In Europe, a species-poor forest reflects widespread extinction. Oaks, beech, and elm trees dominate. The ecoregion has been heavily degraded and transformed, chiefly due to the expanding human population and corresponding large-scale conversion of natural habitat to agricultural use. This ecoregion covers extensive lowlands, but also areas of higher elevation, such as the Alps and the Ardennes. The ecoregion has a variety of plant assemblies, ranging from true broadleaf forest to raised bogs and moorlands. Typical dominant trees are beech and birch. There are a total of 379 distinct vertebrate taxa that have been identified within the ecoregion, although faunal endemism is low. Conservation. Human impacts. Humans are cutting down much of the forestry and draining much of the land that makes up the temperate broadleaf forest, all to make room for the ever-growing human population and its accompanying infrastructure in agricultural lands. This is causing the ecosystem to drastically shrink in size, lose nutrients due to agriculture, become more polluted due to the burning of fossil fuels and the littering of human products, and sometimes lose limiting factors such as water. With their ecosystem losing more and more land, much of the fauna is becoming into contact with human society, where they have a hard time living either due to the lack of food, lack of a sheltered environment, or due to being labeled pests. Some of the effects we are directly mitigating include an increased amount of wildfires, roadkill, more pests coming into contact with human society, and pollution, such as acid rain. To combat these adverse effects on the temperate broadleaf forest biome, we should appeal to lawmakers to pass more environmentally friendly resolutions, educate our communities on steps they can take to be more environmentally friendly, and use less fossil fuels in a more green way. The tapeworm and the white-tailed deer. The deer acts as a host to the tapeworm. Consequently, the animal is harmed while the tapeworm lives in its intestine, absorbing its nutrients and depleting its resources. Moss and tree. The tree receives nothing from the moss, but in return the moss gets a place to grow. The moss does not harm the tree, but has greater access to sunlight and is protected from animals that may consume it. Fungus and plants. The fungus gets a place to grow on the plant, and in return the plants get disease resistance ability from the moss. Case strategists, represented by the red line, have fewer offspring and occupy specific keystone niches. Few die young and possess a high survivorship rate. R strategists, represented by the blue line, produce many offspring initially, but many die prematurely, but those that reach maturity live longer and have the ability to adapt to varying environmental conditions. Secondary succession. If a wildfire was to break out in a temperate broadleaf forest, burning down all the vegetation and forcing the forest fauna to flee, the regrowth of the forest after this would be secondary succession. The first plants to start growing again would be grasses and other low-growing plants such as goldenrods or golden roses. These would quickly be followed by woody shrubs such as juniper. By then, insects, the speckled bush cricket and longhorn moth, would have appeared, and small animals and amphibians would begin to appear as well, such as the European suslick, the garden dormouse, or the common European toad. Soon, sun-loving gray birch and poplar trees will be established in the area. At this point in time, many birds, larger rodents, and possibly bats would appear. These include a wide variety of songbirds, the golden eagle, the European rabbit, and pond bat. Finally, white pines will grow in sandy, well-drained areas, followed by white oak trees. And with this growth of larger trees, so too will larger mammals arrive, such as the red deer and Eurasian wild pig. The mice is prey to the wild fox of Europe. If the wild mice population goes up, then the fox population can flourish. If the wild mice population goes down, then the fox population decreases. An adaptation of the fox is relying on other food sources rather than just the mouse. The fox competes with the raccoon for the mice, so competition regulates the two populations, keeping the balance of the ecosystem. A vast web of interconnections exists between the organisms in this ecosystem. As quaternary consumers and apex predators of the environment, you have the white-tailed eagle and golden eagle that are followed by other levels of consumers and producers. Distribution of energy ultimately shifts from the Eurasian eagle owl downward to the white oak. This typically follows the chain of the food web, going from quaternary consumer all the way down to primary producer. Approximately 1/10 of the energy from the first organism is transferred to the consumer of it. And so on, up to the quaternary.
Class dismissed. We'll have another lesson tomorrow.